Hey, what up, guys and gals? Happy Wednesday to you on this very early Wednesday morning. Hope everybody's good on your end. For what it's worth, I'm starting to feel better on my end too. So maybe tomorrow we'll have a live class. That's my hope. So as long as I keep improving, that's what we're going to go for. But I digress. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go over a few note problems. A few review problems. Sorry for misspeaking. Nothing new today, but I do want to show you some calculator tricks. And then after we finish this YouTube, I'll have a PDF assignment that I want you to upload to Schoology. It will be for a grade. I'm not going to name drop, but somebody mentioned to me, Mister, we need more grades. And they were exactly right. So I won't name drop you, but you know who you are. So shout out to you. You were exactly right. Don't worry. I want you to be successful. I'm going to make it very achievable. But, just because I'm not there doesn't mean that we don't have grades. So, yeah, that's our game plan for today. I'm going to give you more than enough time in class to get that assignment done. Like I said, I'm going to show you some calculator tricks that are hopefully beneficial for you. All right, let's do this thing. While I'm transitioning here, sorry about the spring because I know it's going to be loud. There you go. Shout out to Mr. Brenneman, the other math teacher. He actually lives down the road from me. He brought my iPad stand, so at least it won't be shaky like yesterday. Okay, perfect time to pause the video, grab a scratch piece of paper that's hopefully up front in the center desk, and you can just follow along, all right? So right here, the first two were provided graphs, and we want to figure out the inequality, okay? If you're saying, Mister, I'm kind of struggling with this, let me sort of give you a generalistic what to look for. Always start with the y-intercept, okay? Whatever that y-intercept is, and remember that's where it crosses the y-axis, that's going to be your b value. Well, here it sure looks like it crosses our y-axis at positive 4, which is correct, okay? From there, let's find our slope. Well, it looks like I went down 1, 2, 3, 4, right 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, my slope then is -4, sorry about the equals, -4 over 4, that reduces to -1. You could put -1x, or you could just put -x. If you want to sneak the -1 in there, that's cool, no worries, okay? We have our y here on the left-hand side. And then we start to ask ourselves, all right, self, is it going to be less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to? I start by looking at the line. It's clearly a dotted line, so there will not be an or equal to sign, okay? So that means it's either less than, strictly, or greater than, strictly. And then I look at the shading. Well, everything here is shaded above my line. Specifically, look at the y-intercept. Here, the values that are shaded are greater than 4, 5, 6, 7. You get the idea. So this is greater than, y is greater than -x plus 4. And once again, there's no line there because it was dotted. Okay? Good to go. Numero dos. A little faster, but not too bad. Once again, we want our inequality. Start with the y-intercept. Well, that sure looks like +1. Sure enough. And then we find our slope. Recall, always start with the point to the left. So it looks like I went up 1 and then right 1, 2, 3. Up 1, right 3. That means my slope is 1/3. So a slope of 1/3 x. Okay. Then, once again, we have our y here on the left. Ask yourself, what kind of line is it? Well, it's clearly solid. So that means there will be an or equal to line. It's either greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. Looking at the shading, well, all the shading is below the line. Specifically, look at the y-intercept. The shaded region is all less than 1, 0, -1, -2. You get the idea. So this is y is less than, and because the line is solid, or equal to 1/3 x plus 1. Okay, Hopefully you're saying that's not too bad, Mr. Herr. Hopefully, because once again, it's just a review of what we did yesterday. These here, solve and graph. The big thing I really want to focus on at first here is the solve, and then we'll talk about the graph. I have at least something I'll show you with the graphing calculator. Recall, we have to get y isolated completely by itself. So here, because we have positive 4x plus 2y is greater than or equal to 8, I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. We get positive 2y is greater than or equal to negative 4x plus 8. I'm going to divide both sides by a positive 2. We get y is greater than or equal to. Notice that symbol does not change at all because we're dividing both sides by a positive 2. It only flips if we're dividing or multiplying both sides by a negative. We'll talk about that in a moment. Here we get negative 2x, because negative 4 divided by positive 2 is negative 2x, plus 8 divided by positive 2, positive 4. Okay. Please recall, when it comes to graphing, always start at the origin. We go up 4 because of our y-intercept, and then our slope is negative 2, specifically negative 2 over 1. So that tells us to go down 2, right 1. Down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1. You get the idea, we could go all day. Okay. What kind of line is it? Well, the or equal to line is there. That's a good thing in this instance because that means our line will be solid. Whenever the or equal to is there, it's a solid, aka inclusive line. And lastly, where do we shade? Y is greater than or equal to negative 2x plus 4. So that means all our values will be greater than this line. Specifically, look at the y-intercept. It must be above positive 4. So that means 5, 6, 7. You get the idea. So we're going to shade up in this region. Okay. One more to go, and then some calculator tricks, and we'll do this thing. All right. Number 4 here, 3x minus y is greater than 4. Okay, same idea as what we did here in number 3. First, we want to move that 3x to the other side. We do that via inverse operations, so we subtract 3x from both sides. Negative y, careful not to lose the negative, is greater than negative 3x plus 4. This is close, but negative y is not what we wanted to solve for. So to eliminate that negative, we must divide both sides by negative 1. When we do that, the negatives cancel, but whenever we're dividing both sides, in fact, I'll get to that in a moment. Pardon me real quick. Negative 3x divided by negative 1, negative 3, negative 1. Well, two negatives make a positive. That's a positive 3x. Positive 4 divided by negative 1, that is negative 4. Back to our inequality. Whenever we divide or multiply both sides of the inequality by a negative, our symbol flips. What that means is this will no longer be greater than. It's now flip to a less than. Okay? And once again, that's whenever you're dividing both sides or multiplying both sides by a negative. That's the only time our symbol flips. Now let's graph and go. A y-intercept of negative 4. So I come down here to negative 4, check. And a slope of positive 3, specifically positive 3 over 1. So that means I'll go up 3 from my y-intercept over 1. Up 3 over 1. You get the idea. Up 3 over 1. Good to go. Now, what kind of line will this be? Well, there's not an or equal to. Because that is not there, this is a dotted line because our line is exclusive. That means the values on the line don't actually solve the inequality. Now, do we shade above or below? Well, it is less than. So look at our y-intercept. What values are less than negative 4? Well, down here, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7. You get the idea. So we'll shade down here. Okay. You might say, Mr. Herr, do I always have to graph by hand? You don't. In fact, we're going to talk about this one right here, y is less than 3x minus 4 on our graphing calculator. Okay. Hey, speaking of our graphing calculator, let me quit out of this and then zoom in, hopefully get a focus on that screen. There we go. So recall, if we have a clear screen, we can hit y equals. I'm going to clear out that old graph. Okay, our equation was 3x minus 4. But it wasn't equal to. You see there, we have an equal to. Well, if we come over here, all the way over, do you see how I have the blue square and the line highlighted? If I press enter, and I come down here to line, it gives me options of arrows. So you have to use the left and right arrow. Well, if you recall, our inequality was less than 3x. Whenever it's less than, you shade below the line. So I'm going to choose, it's a triangle that looks like it's on the bottom half. See how that triangle's on the top half? We don't want that. We're going to have a triangle on the bottom half. Then I'm going to come down here to OK. And I'm going to graph this line. Oh man, isn't that sweet? It's just like our graph that we did together. So it's one of those, if you're struggling with the graphing, this might be able to help you out. Or if you're saying, well, Mr. Herr, I'm not struggling with that graphing as much as just the line in general. Our other equation, number 3, was the equation negative 2x plus 4. You can still just graph a normal line to give you an idea what your graph is going to look like. And then if you feel good about shading and or if it's dotted or not, that'll help you out too. All right. There is a graded assignment today. You'll have more than enough time in class, but please upload that then to Schoology today in class. That way I can get those grades in. All right. Thanks, guys and gals. Have a great one. Peace.